Good morning, Black Hawk Brigade. I'm Colonel Morgado, your brigade commander, and this is our first installment of our Leader Professional Development Program via podcast. So the intent of this program or system of LPDs is to have brigade leadership tape a podcast about a topic of interest to the command or which might be beneficial to our programs, and then schedule a time after everyone's had a chance to view it where we come together via telecon or VTC and talk about it and talk about critical topics. So for our very first one, I've chosen recruiting and marketing. Within our brigade, there's really four major functions that we accomplish. First and foremost is the education and training of our cadets. Second is recruiting. The third is our logistics function, and finally our administrative function. So really, if you boil all our activities down to what we do, and I know there's probably hundreds and if not thousands of tasks that we do, but they probably fall within those four main areas. Our number one priority is always going to be education and training, and we do on a daily basis within our classrooms, at LDXs, at cadet summer training, and the list goes on and on. There's many opportunities for that. A close second is recruiting, and those are the two areas, education and recruiting, that I can't assume a whole lot of risk on. So that means our administrative and logistics, we do have to assume some risk on. But of those, of our two primary efforts of leader development and then recruiting, I probably find that our recruiting and our approach to recruiting and marketing is probably the least well understood. So in this first installment, I hope to get at that. So what are we trying to accomplish here this morning? Well, first and foremost is understanding the aim of what we're trying to do is have all of us understand or create a common shared understanding or a common operating picture on this idea of marketing and recruiting and how we intrigue, educate, and motivate high quality men and women, to be Army officers. Not all of us are blessed with programs that we have a complete walk-in market. All we have to do is hang up our shingle that says Army ROTC on it, and people come flocking in the door. There are some programs out there that may enjoy that, but for the most of our programs, it is a conscious effort. It has to be a deliberate process to get and attract candidates to come into our door and be Army officers. So a lot of it is how we share information, a lot of it is how we conduct the process of doing that, but I think it all starts with understanding what recruiting and marketing is. So I guess we'll start with what's the difference between marketing and recruiting. So the Army Marketing and Research Group, or AMRG, recently presented an information brief to brigade commanders and a commanding general that talked about the dividing line between marketing and recruiting and why it's important to understand that distinction. So they named 5 general areas that these two things come together at. And the first 3 deal with marketing, and the last 3 deal mostly with recruiting, because you can see they share one important item. So in the idea of marketing, the idea is to create awareness, engage our prospects, and activate them, meaning compel them to take some action. Let me back up. So from Cadet Command all the way down to our programs, we're involved in both marketing and recruiting and along these 5 steps. But we have different areas of responsibility and different focus areas. So, which I'll explain in a minute. But the dividing line, again, is this activate and how we finally get them to recruit. So in the bottom right here, I've kind of seen a level of effort as I would portray it to all of you at the program level. You have very little to do with marketing, but some responsibility, but the bulk of the responsibility when it comes to recruiting. So I'm going to try and bring all these together to help you understand how it all helps you in the end to recruit and get people into formations. So I want to highlight first this bottom half of my chart. So a way to understand the difference between marketing and recruiting is starting with this 3 concentric circles and using a military analogy of what we most likely understand or have a deeper understanding of. Our 3 concentric circles that looks at strategic, operation, and tactical. So marketing is really about creating the information space for where recruiting takes place. So we at Cadet Command and at Brigade are trying to form or create an information space that's conducive to you recruiting and drawing in quality talent to the program level and allowing you to execute the other effects of recruiting to get folks into your program. So I think the easiest way to understand it is, again, to use a military analogy. Because when we think of recruiting, we think of the event itself. So we think of it as almost a one-phase operation. Now, I say we, as a former PMS who did this for a little while, I fell into the same trap and was a victim of my experience. We think of, we say go out and do recruit folks into your program. We think of things in terms of a single stationary event. And what we fail to understand is really a three-phase process, right? And what I'm calling phase one is really called set the conditions. Phase two is the actual event, and then what I'm calling phase three is exploitation. And that one model I'd like to use, which may have some understanding, because perhaps as junior officers and as we came up through the ranks, perhaps the easiest way of understanding is how we develop an engagement area. It's probably the easiest way to conceptualize it. So if we think of the event, right, of this recruiting type event when we have a RU or cadets or a cadre member beginning to engage someone at a table or at a sit down or at some sort of lecture or class, that's the event. And so we'll call that our engagement area, EA SLAM. So what we fail to realize is that there's a whole lot of work that has to go on before we get to this engagement in EA SLAM. So if I'm a tactical commander and I'm given a mission to defend from phase line white to phase line blue, and given this tactical task, one of the key things that we understand as a tactical commander is, okay, where do I want to kill the enemy, right? But in our case is, where do I want to engage our prospect? So in order to set the conditions in a tactical environment, I have to think about, okay, where do I position my units? Right, then I need to know, okay, how do I help canalize my enemy into my engagement area, right? It's going to be where I put obstacles. Then I have to think about, okay, what other control measures do I need, right, to help shape the battlefield to get who I want to into my engagement area, right? This is what it means about setting the conditions. And if, within now changing back to our recruiting and how we conduct recruiting operations, it's all about how do we set those conditions, how do we shape our field so that we actually have high quality candidates within our engagement area. So as we're thinking about what the difference is between marketing and recruiting, it is the marketing concept that gets our folks that we want within our engagement area, that sets the information environment, that gets them in a place so then we can make that value proposition. So I'm going to continue now with giving some tools and how we conceptualize it here at the brigade level, right? So looking at a three-phase operation, and I'll start here at the bottom. Cadet Command and the Army Marketing and Research Group at the strategic level is mostly about setting conditions, right? They're in this outer circle. They're trying to shape the information environment that makes our job of recruiting easier, right? It's about setting those conditions. At the brigade level, we're clearly part of setting conditions. We also facilitate within the enterprise recruiting aspect of actually conducting an event, okay, working within that engagement area or putting direct fires into that engagement area. And then we have some assistance with exploitation. And the part that I didn't quite cover yet is this idea of, at the program level, not only do we set conditions, conduct the event, but we also have to exploit. So within this model, it becomes like a counterattack force, right? It's after we've made that value proposition to our particular candidate, how do we close the deal? Okay, how do we get them to cross the line, sign on the dotted line, and join our program to help them become future Army officers? That's how we shape the information environment. How do we get them to commit, and then finally to actually get them into our program? So that is our three-phase approach to marketing and recruiting. So what are the mechanics, right? So within, on an annual basis, we ask every program to submit what's called a recruiting and enrollment action plan, right, or the REAP, right? So as you think about the course of the school year of how you want to attract this gender-neutral stick figure, right, or this this male or female cadet or future cadet to get into our program is, okay, how do we propose to them the greatest possible value proposition? We use what's called, in the targeting methodology, a find, fix, finish, exploit, analyze, and disseminate. If you go within our campaign plan for the brigade, we've kind of laid it out and separated it by category of what these 6 categories might mean to you at the program level as you sit down and develop your REAP about where you're going to find that quality prospect, where you're going to fix them, where you're going to get them to commit, and after you give them the value proposition of get them into your program. And then we analyze and disseminate lessons learned and spread that across the brigade. So that's how we conceptualize this particular issue. Now, there are some tools that we have available to us in order to get this done. You know what, I need to go back here for a second. As we talked about the 3-phase operation, the one piece that I forgot to mention, also within our campaign plan, if you have not looked at it, I encourage you to do so, but it talks about what we can do at the 3 levels, strategic operation and at the operational at the program level or at tactical level, to help us do that, and what resources that we can bring to bear in order to set conditions, actually do the event, and then conduct exploitation. So I encourage you, if you've not looked at the campaign plan, this is a one-pager that goes along with our target engagement matrix with find, fix, finish, exploit, that you can use to develop your REAP and think about or conceptualize your marketing and your program, marketing and recruiting plan. So, moving now to the tools that we have available. Right? So, after you develop your plan and you figure out where you need to go to get those quality prospects into your program, you have to think about what tools or what resources that you have to commit to that process. And the number one resource that we have at our disposal within ROTC is our people. Whether it's a key leader or influencer on our campus, our cadets, our cadre members, our family members, and the list can go on and on. There's probably many different people that you can use to help shape the information environment, help to close the deal, help to grade and engage candidates and get them and activate them in order to recruit them. Then on the second part is, and probably the second most popular, is money, right? How can we commit resources in order to help us do our job? How to get and attract that attention that we need? Within that are 2 categories of money, right? So first is call it OMA-A, right? And you request these, again, through your REAP plan, but OMA-A is things that you can keep, wear, or hold, right? And then we also use money for our advertisement, or within that tip of that pyramid at the program level of what your commitment is to the actual marketing plan, are things that you can read, hear, and watch, right? So OMA-A, and I'll go over some things that work and maybe are not as effective, we use within our RMID or Brigade S2 to make those purchases with the credit card. Then those things that require advertising, meaning read, hear, or watch, that's what we use the BEEF process, is to get your request, to get you the right resources, the right tools. In order to do that, you put it through your BEEF, right? Which will then allow us to review, approve, and then commit funds to help you do what you need to do. Now, we've been doing this for a while, and we found that some items work real well, and some items don't work so well within some purchases. So some of the good items are things that someone can wear or can advertise, right? So like things like a shirt, right? A shirt's a good idea. It's a good purchase of money, right? You wear a winter hat, okay, clearly advertising Army ROTC. You can get yourself a 3rd Brigade t-shirt, or a backpack, or a water bottle, right? These are all things that can help share a message and help create that information environment, or at least attract some interest in what we're trying to do. We've also learned that there's some bad things out there, or bad purchases, right? Things such as thumb drives, or pen and pencils, or tags, or lighters. These are all things that can easily be put in your pocket and never seen again, right? And we're not really spreading the message about ROTC. Then we know that there are some prohibited items, things like coins, or buying cash gifts, or food, for instance. Those aren't good ideas. So just a couple of ideas. And then there are some things that look really cool, like this snow brush, which is very popular here within Chicago and other wintry locales within our brigade. But there's only one very small Cadet Command patch, not very effective. And having used this brush to remove snow from my vehicle, they're also very cheap and break easily, so I don't encourage anyone to get that particular item. And then there are other gifts that might seem strange or odd, and so I must admit the first time I saw Florence Nightingale's lamp, which this is, I thought someone's really going to get me for fraud, waste, and abuse for buying and sharing these. But I learned through our nurses that this is actually quite popular and very effective with our College of Nursing deans and other nursing specialists, because it is Florence Nightingale's lamp and it has an impact. So I definitely encourage you as you sit down and research your market, you find what's best for you. So all that being said, I need to go back to probably the most important chart is this one. And in thinking about things within our 3 phases, right? We're responsible for marketing and recruiting. Think about what draws attention to your program, and then how do we get the deal closed, and think of things in a 3-phase operation. How do you set the conditions to get key folks there? How do you close the deal with them? And then how do you exploit that information once you have some sort of commitment or interest from them? How do you close the deal and offer the right value proposition to that high-speed, motivated, highly qualified individual that's going to lead our Army into the future? So the idea of this was not to answer questions, but at least to get a thought rolling in your mind, to spark some questions, to spark a discussion here in the not too distant future. So with that, have a good day, Blackhawks.